Hello, everybody, and welcome to another week of Liza's BLTs. So what's a BLT? It is a body love talk. We talk about anything from emotional eating, mindset, self-care, self-love, self-worth, confidence, boundaries, everything else in between. So anything that has to do with body love, emotional eating, the struggles that we have. And who am I? I am Liza Lomax. I am a transformational mindset and body love coach. So I get to help folks embrace their bodies, heal from their emotional traumas they have with their bodies and with food. So today's topic, I wanted to do a little bit different. Because some of you are probably wondering, like, who am I? What am I all about? What do I know about this stuff? And so some of you have reached out and said, hey, why don't you tell your story? So that's what I'm going to do today is I'm going to tell you my story. So how I came to be a transformational mindset coach. Years. Lots of years and lots of self-love and self-care and self-worth. So um, and everything I share today, I just want to put, kind of a disclaimer out there that your perception of reality is different from somebody else's perception of reality. How we see things might be different from somebody else who saw them. So, parents, friends, family, siblings, that kind of thing, you might have had a different experience than maybe your older sister or your younger brother. Or you maybe saw things a little bit different than your parents saw, or your grandparents, or the people that surrounded you. So when we tell stories or we tell our stories, just keep that in mind that was your reality. That's how you saw things. That's how things came to be about you. And when people tell you that that's wrong or that's not how it was, that's gaslighting. So, and that's, them telling you that what you saw is not real and not fact. So calling you basically a liar. So the reason why I say this is I have a lot of people out there that say that, specifically family members and that kind of thing, that say that my stories didn't really happen, which, okay, in your mind, again, it happened differently than how I saw it. So my story is really kind of traumatizing, and a lot of things happened to me at a very young age and all through my teenage years and adult years. And I came from a family, I was the oldest of four. It was a very pack radish, hoarderish like household. And my mother, suffers from mental illness, whether she chooses to believe that or not. I really feel that there are some, we all have traumas, we all have issues that we have to work out. But my stepdad was never home, and my dad is from another country who I saw limited times growing up, and or not enough really. And so I took on the role of being the parent. I took on the role of being that caregiver for my three other siblings. And I took on the role of being the perfectionist. Like I had to be everything perfect and had to do everything right. And I created a lot of OCDs. It created a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression. I was a very, what I have been told, melancholy child. And taking on that role turned me into a people pleaser, turned me into a doormat. So, and I just want to reiterate that, conditioning at a very young age happens a lot. And if you identify as a woman, you have been conditioned to be an unpaid caregiver for the rest of your life. That's just how it works out. That's just how it happens. And which then what leads us to is it leads us to those people pleasers and doormats. And we're told that we can't show our emotions. it's selfish to take care of ourselves, and we can't make ourselves priority number one. And so we learn all these unhealthy outlets that to go to combat those emotions, so we don't feel those struggles. So we learn to push them down. And food is the number one source. Food is the number one thing we go to stuff our emotions down so we don't feel them. So I did a lot of stuffing of my emotions. And I went through my teenage years with all of these secrets and stories and habits and patterns and things that negative self-critic that rolled around in my head over and over again, telling me that I wasn't good enough and I wasn't smart enough. I was ugly. I was fat. I was stupid. I was disgusting. I was all these things because I wasn't living up to the expectations of everybody else around me. And I thought I was supposed to be somebody else. So I thought I was supposed to be the people in the magazines, the people on TV. You know, I'm supposed to have this body and this personality and look like this and dress like this and act like this. And I knew at a very young age that I was gay. And because, you know, the household that I was raised in, I wasn't allowed to share that. And so I had to keep that a secret for a really long time. I also knew that I was a medium. I had these intuitive gifts. I had these empathic gifts. I was an empath and I didn't know how to use them. And again, coming in the household that I was in, that was a no-no. That was evil. You know, that was like, oh, you can't, that's wrong. You know, you're going to go to hell. You know, the Bible says you're going to go to hell if you believe in these things. So I had all this conditioning, all this deeply ingrained beliefs that were just bullshit, really. So I really struggled with a lot of depression and anxiety, like I said, which caused a lot of internal dis-ease in my body. I struggled with eating disorders. I struggled with pill popping. I struggled with alcohol. I had toxic relationships, and I've been super, super skinny at one time, and I've been super, super overweight. And by the time I was 26, there was so many things that compounded that I couldn't handle any longer. And by the time I was 26, I was about 300 pounds, probably over 300 pounds. At the time, my son was 2. I have an adult child now. I know I don't look old enough to have an adult child, but I do. But at the time he was 2. And the doctor told me that if I didn't lose weight, I was going to die. And so because of that conditioning of putting my needs, my wants, my desires on the back burner, I was like, well, I want to lose the weight for him. I want to live to see him grow older. So I'll lose the weight for him. So again, putting my needs, my wants, my desires on the back burner, losing the weight. I lost 105 pounds in 13 months. After that happened, I still looked in the mirror and I was still not happy with the person I saw. And I went back to the same habits, the same beliefs, the same stories, the same patterns over and over and over, those tapes playing over and over and over in my head. Did so many things to myself, so many things to my body. I hated my body. I hated the reflection I saw in the mirror. I despised everything about myself. I was really, really good at taking care of everybody else. I was really good at just showing love to everybody else, but I never learned how to show love to myself. And 3, 4, the time frame is like, sometimes in this life, it's like we go through these situations and then we try to remember back in the exact time frame. And it's like, was it really that time, or what? Was it sooner or later, or what it was? But I would say between 3 and 5 years later, I literally hit a rock bottom. Not everybody has to hit a rock bottom, but I did. And again, like I said, I was addicted to diet pills. I was a heavy drinker. I did things to my body nobody should ever do to themselves. I was in one toxic relationship after another, after another, after another. And there were some circumstances, there were some things that came up that put me in situations where I should have been killed. I mean, in fact, I almost died twice from diet pills, from the way I was treating myself, you know, so much toxicity. And I really had this, whether you want to call it come to Jesus moment, universe, higher source, higher power, whatever it is that you believe in. I had this booming voice telling me that I needed to change and something had to give. And so I had to turn around and like really look at myself and be like, well, how does one learn how to love themselves? How does one learn how to put themselves first? How does one learn how to put themselves priority number one? That's a really hard thing. That's a really hard mindset to shift. And so I went and I did the things. I did the therapy. I read all the self-help books. You know, I was one of those. I mean, and this was quite a while ago. I mean, we're talking, you know, 15 years ago. So I was one that was hiding in the self-help section. You know, back then it was like you didn't want anybody to know that you were doing self-help book, you know, reading self-help books or doing self-development work, because it was like, oh, you know, like what's wrong with them? So I did all the things and it came down to it. And I was just like, nothing is working. I'm going out, I'm doing the things, and I'm finding the latest, greatest this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and that. And I'm doing all the things. And I wasn't finding the way to make myself happy. And that's what we do in society is we go outside of ourselves for fulfillment, outside of ourselves for happiness, outside of ourselves to take care of ourselves. When really, you know what it is? It's an inside job. You have to take care of what's going on the inside first before you can take care of the outside, before you can fix the outside. If you want to fix that, if you want to change that. So I spent 25 years of my life in this cycle, going outside of myself, outside of myself, outside of myself. And then having that epiphany and realizing, oh my gosh, like I got to do the inside work. That's a magic pill. That's a magic potion. That's what's going to get me to that long-term, sustainable, happier, healthy, loving myself, looking at myself in the mirror, naked even, and loving everything that I see. That's what's going to get me there. If I take care of all that shit, all that junk that's going on inside, everything that I'm telling myself that's going on, that's what I need to heal first. That's what I need to take care of. So that set me on my journey of finding myself, finding my authenticity, finding who I was, you know, coming out and being my real authentic self, who I am today. And, you know, I went out and got certifications in a multitude of different things. And I knew I needed these tools in my tool belt. I knew I needed these things to help a multitude of different people. And I knew that there were other people out there that struggled the same way. And so I'm asking you today, does any of that story hit home for you? Any of those situations that I talked about, have you dealt with? Have you gone through them? Probably a lot of it. Because we stay in this cycle of going around and around and around and around, trying to go outside of ourselves. And if we just go inside and do the work and heal that emotional trauma and decondition ourselves and reframe our beliefs and our habits and our stories, we can then look at our reflection in the mirror and love everything we see. Because what do we do? I mean, especially if you identify as a woman, you go to the mirror every single morning and you nitpick at every single little imperfection. We all do it. Everybody does it. Why? Why do we need to do these things? Why do we need to look a certain way? Why do we need to dress a certain way, act a certain way, be a certain way? We don't need to. We don't need to do these things. These are old beliefs. We need to shift that paradigm. These are recycled beliefs and habits and stories that have been going through generation to generation to generation. And it's not our parents' fault, and it's not our parents' fault, and so forth. They only have the tools at the time to give us, to instill in us. They thought what they were doing was good. They thought what they were doing was helping us. When in actuality, it wasn't helping us. It wasn't helping them. It wasn't helping their generation before that, their generation before that. They got stuck in this cycle. And then each generation, it got worse and worse and worse and worse. And I see 20 or 18 and 20-year-olds now going out and getting Botox and fillers and trying to change themselves and change their outside because they think that they need to be this way. It's all bullshit. It's just recycled beliefs. It's a conditioning that needs to be deconditioned. And it's not just generational, it's ancestral. If you believe in past life, a lot of the stuff is brought into us from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime. So this lifetime is the time to change now. It's to change you now. You have to make that conscious decision to make a change in yourself. So put on your big panties, put on your big people pants, and do the work. Do the work so you can have a happy, healthier, long-term, sustainable lifestyle where you unconditionally love yourself just as you are. If you want to change the outside and that's going to make you happy, that's fine. But so many times we get stuck in this cycle where we want to change something about ourselves and then it changes and then we find something else and we find something else and we find something else. That's disordered thinking. And a lot of us have that disordered thinking and disordered relationships with different things, with food, with people, with, all kinds of things in our environment. So if you just stop everything that you're doing right now, and if you could do one thing, I'm going to leave you this. If you could do one thing in your life right now to make change kind of start to happen for you, it's just to tell yourself, I love you. Just keep telling yourself, I love you. I love you. I love you. A lot of us coaches out there have a lot of recycled material, which is great. We all put our own little package, our own little spin on it, our own little bow on that information. But I use the mirror technique, and I know a lot of other coaches out there and other people out there that use this technique as well. But going to the mirror every single morning and just telling yourself, I love you, has such a profound impact on you. If you constantly, continuously, consciously do it over and over and over again, you will eventually override that subconscious belief that you don't love yourself. Because if you're nitpicking at every single little imperfection, if you're talking bad about yourself, if you have that negative self-talk in your head, and that person that's that self-talk that's telling you that you're not good enough, you're not special enough, you're not beautiful enough, you're not worthy, you're ugly, you're fat, you're stupid, you're disgusting, you're not loving yourself if you're doing all those things. Even if you're doing one or two of those things, you're not loving yourself unconditionally. 100 trillion, billion, gazillion %, you're not loving yourself. So how would you like to get to that point? Get to that point where you do love yourself. You look in the mirror and you're like, damn, I look good. I got to that point, and I want to help people out there get to that point. So I'm going to leave you with that. And I hope you all have a wonderful holiday. I know Christmas is right around the corner, so enjoy your holidays. Take care of yourself. Love yourself. Enjoy yourself. Care for yourself. Put yourself and your needs number one, because that in turn will take care of everybody else around you. because you got to take care of yourself first. Like RuPaul says, if you, what does she say? I just completely like lost my train of thought there for a second. She says, if you can't love yourself, how the hell is anybody else going to love you? Something to that effect. I'm probably just totally butchered that. So if RuPaul, if you ever watch this, I'm totally sorry that I mutilated that. But something to that effect. But take that to heart. Like, you have to love yourself first before you can love another person. So love yourself. Take care of you this holiday season. And you all have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thanks. Bye. See you later.